Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary fucking aneurysm.
It started with a whisper, the kind of story that people don't say out loud, only pass around in quiet conversations. And now that whisper is turning into something much louder, because Ally Carter has stepped forward, and what she's claiming has people seriously shaken. According to her, what happened to Cathy White wasn't just a random tragedy. It may have been something much darker, something planned, something hidden. Now listen, these are heavy allegations. Nothing has been officially confirmed, but the way this story is unfolding, the connections being drawn, and the timing of everything, it's enough to make anyone stop and think. Because if even a small part of this is true, then what we thought we knew about power, fame, and control in the industry might not even scratch the surface. And the biggest twist, the name being pulled into this narrative is Sean Diddy Combs. So the question is, what really happened to Cathy White? To understand why this story is hitting so hard right now, you have to go back and look at who Cathy White was. She wasn't just a random name suddenly popping up online.
But taken unfairly. She actually died screaming, and the Carters are responsible. But one of them is just a little more responsible than the other. Question is, did Sean Carter delete his mistress, his pregnant mistress, because his wife was jealous? Or could it be possible that maybe his wife's temper is just a little worse than most people think? And maybe he just had to clean it up to protect the brand's sake. I mean, I'm just speculating.
Cathy was known in certain social circles, someone who had connections, someone who had been around influential people. She wasn't a celebrity in the spotlight, but she wasn't invisible either. People who claim to know her describe her as confident, social, and deeply connected in ways the public never fully saw. And that's where things start to get complicated.
Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend? Claudia.
So, Jack, when you say...
When I say Corey, I'm talking about Cathy White.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary fucking aneurysm. Just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book, Bling, and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list. Who the f was these people supposed to go to? You can't go to the boss because the boss is f***ing you. And the boss's boss don't get no Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You could try to get a special prosecutor, but they'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case. Where the fuck you go when you get f***ed over by the industry? Nowhere. That's where you go nowhere, which is where people like me step in. You right, I go to Diddy parties to walk mother out, cause ain't nobody stopping me when I come. You Sean.
Hey, man.
Weirdo. Oof. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever. All I do is frustrate your AI. You can't quantify me. You can't even control your wife. You gonna handle a bitch like me. You can't even control that goofy bitch. You should have did a better job maybe she wouldn't have had to lose her mind on Cathy. Because you ain't protecting you. You're protecting her.
Because according to various online discussions over the years, Cathy had ties, alleged ties, to powerful figures in the entertainment world. Now again, nothing here has been proven, but these whispers have been around for a long time. What made her situation even more emotional is the claim that she was going through a very personal chapter in her life before her sudden death. Some people online have said she was pregnant. Others say she was dealing with pressure behind the scenes. None of this was officially confirmed, but the timing of everything raised questions that never really went away.
Honestly, I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people, he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
So he had put majority of the people out, but he allowed me to stay in there. Me and, you know, maybe about 15 others, you know.
Right.
Jay-Z and Beyonce being, you know, two of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put into perspective of the type of company I was in at the moment, you know. And she came over and introduced herself to me like as if she had to. Beyonce, cut it out. But I'm a big fan of your work, you know what I'm saying? Whoop de whoop, and that was just dope. That was dope as hell to me, man.
And then came the news that shocked everyone. Cathy White passed away suddenly. The official cause was reported as a medical condition, a brain aneurysm, a tragic, natural explanation. Case closed, at least on paper. But here's the thing, not everyone believed it was that simple. Over time, more and more voices started questioning the story. Why was there so little information? Why did things feel so quiet? Why did it seem like the situation disappeared so quickly from public conversation? And just when people thought the story had faded away, it came back, stronger than ever. Because now, Ally Carter is stepping in, and she's not holding back. According to Ally Carter, what happened to Cathy White may not have been natural at all. She suggests that there were people watching Cathy, following her movements, and possibly trying to control what she knew. And this is where things take a sharp turn. Ally claims that Sean Diddy Combs may have been involved, not directly in a confirmed sense, but allegedly as someone who had the power and reach to track Cathy down. Again, these are claims being made online. There is no official evidence proving this. But still, the story doesn't stop there. What nobody expected was how detailed some of these claims would get. According to Ally, Cathy wasn't just someone living a quiet life. She was allegedly connected to sensitive information, things that, if exposed, could have caused serious damage to powerful reputations.
Puffy, why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time. Like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
And that's where the fear comes in. Because if someone is seen as a threat in those circles, what happens next? Ally suggests that Cathy may have been trying to speak out, that she may have been preparing to reveal something. And if that's true, then her sudden death starts to look very different to some people. But here's the twist. there's still no hard proof. And that's what makes this story so intense. It lives in that space between possibility and doubt. On one side, you have people who believe every word Ali is saying. They point to the timing, the connections, the unanswered questions. They feel like something was covered up. On the other hand, you have those who are urging caution. They remind everyone that these are serious accusations involving real people. Without verified evidence, they say, it's dangerous to jump to conclusions. Still, the conversation keeps growing. Some online users have even brought up past controversies surrounding powerful figures in the industry. They argue that this wouldn't be the first time secrets were hidden. Again, these are opinions, not confirmed facts. But the way this story keeps resurfacing, it's hard to ignore. Another layer to this drama is how quickly narratives can be shaped when big names are involved. Some believe that influence can silence stories before they fully come out. Others believe that the internet simply fuels speculation until it becomes something bigger than reality. So where does the truth lie? That's the question nobody can answer right now. And then there's the emotional side of all this. Because beyond the rumors and theories, there was a real person. Cathy White had a life, relationships, and people who knew her. Her sudden passing left behind confusion, grief, and unanswered questions. If the official story is true, then this is a heartbreaking medical tragedy that has been turned into something else by speculation. But if there's even a small part of these claims that holds weight, then it becomes something far more serious. And that uncertainty, that's what makes this story so powerful. It sits in your mind. It makes you question things. It makes you wonder how much we really know about what happens behind closed doors. For the people involved, whether directly or indirectly, stories like this can have a lasting impact. Reputations get questioned, names get pulled into conversations they may not even be part of, and once something goes viral, it's almost impossible to control. That's the reality of today's world. Information spreads fast, but truth, that's a lot harder to find. And now, with Ali Carter continuing to speak out, it feels like this story isn't going away anytime soon. If anything, it's gaining more attention. So what happens next? Does more information come out? Do these claims get addressed publicly? Or does this become another mystery that slowly fades without ever being fully understood? At the end of the day, this story is filled with questions. Questions about power, about truth, about what really happens behind the scenes in worlds most of us will never see. And maybe that's why people are so drawn to it, because deep down, everyone wants to know what really happened to Cathy White. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you think there's more to this story than what we've been told? Or do you believe this is just another case of internet rumors growing out of control?
But here's the thing that still doesn't sit right with many people. If everything was truly normal, why do so many details feel incomplete? Why are there still gaps that no one has clearly answered? That's the part that keeps this story alive. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. These are serious claims, and without solid proof, they remain allegations. The truth could be very different from what's being said online, and that's something people shouldn't ignore. No matter where you stand, one thing is certain: this story isn't over yet, and if more comes out, it could completely change how people see everything. So stay tuned, because this might just be the beginning. And the deeper you go into this story, the more complicated it starts to feel. Because now it's not just about one person anymore. It's about a pattern that some people believe has been happening for years behind the scenes, far away from cameras and headlines. You see, when stories like this surface, they don't just appear out of nowhere. They build over time. Small rumors, quiet conversations, things people brush off at first, until suddenly it all connects in a way that feels impossible to ignore.
And that's exactly what's happening here. Because alongside Ally Carter's claims, there are others who have spoken in the past about how powerful circles operate. Not with clear evidence, not with official statements, but with experiences, suspicions, and warnings. Again, none of this is confirmed, but when multiple voices start pointing in a similar direction, people begin to listen differently. What nobody expected was how quickly this story would spread once it resurfaced. Social media picked it up almost instantly. Clips, posts, theories, everyone trying to piece together what might have happened. Some people are convinced that Cathy White knew something she shouldn't have known. Others believe she may have been caught in a situation that spiraled out of control. And then there are those who say this is simply a tragic event that's being turned into something bigger than it is. But here's the twist. Even those who are skeptical admit that the unanswered questions are hard to ignore. Because think about it, when a story is fully clear, people don't keep coming back to it years later. They don't keep asking the same questions over and over again. The fact that this situation still sparks debate says a lot. And then there's the role of influence. Some believe that when you reach a certain level of power, the rules change, that information can be controlled, that narratives can be shaped. Again, these are opinions shared online, not proven facts, but they add another layer to how people interpret everything. Others push back strongly against that idea. They argue that it's dangerous to assume the worst without evidence, that real lives and reputations are involved, and that the internet has a habit of turning speculation into something that feels real, even when it isn't. And honestly, both sides make valid points. That's what makes this story so difficult to process. It doesn't give you a clear answer. It pulls you in different directions.
On one side, there's curiosity, that feeling that something doesn't fully add up. On the other side, there's logic, the reminder that claims need proof. And somewhere in the middle is the truth, whatever that truth may be. Meanwhile, the name Sean Diddy Combs continues to be mentioned in these conversations, even though there has been no official confirmation connecting him to any of these claims. His influence in the industry, his history, his connections, all of that makes people pay attention when his name comes up, whether fairly or not. And that's another important part of this story. The impact of being named, even in unverified situations. Once a name is attached to something, it spreads fast, and separating fact from assumption becomes harder with every share, every repost, every new theory. For Cathy White, though, the focus should never be lost, because at the center of all this noise is her story, a life that ended suddenly, a situation that left questions, and a narrative that continues to evolve even years later. People who believe Ally Carter's claims say this is about justice, about finally uncovering something that was hidden. Those who don't believe it say this is about responsibility, about not letting rumors turn into accusations without proof. And both sides continue to speak louder. So what happens now? Does someone come forward with real evidence? Does this remain a story built on speculation? Or does it slowly fade again, only to resurface later with even more questions? Right now, no one knows.
But at the same time, it's important to remember something very real. These are serious claims involving real people, and without solid evidence, everything remains in the space of speculation. That doesn't mean questions shouldn't be asked, but it does mean we have to be careful about what we choose to believe. Still, you can't ignore the fact that this story refuses to disappear. Every time it fades, it comes back again, stronger, louder, with more people paying attention, and that alone says something. Whether it's curiosity, doubt, or a feeling that something isn't fully explained, people keep coming back to it. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway here. Not that we have all the answers, but that we don't. Because sometimes it's not the confirmed facts that stay with people. It's the mysteries, the what-ifs, the pieces that don't quite fit together. For Cathy White, this should always be more than just a viral topic. At the center of all the noise, all the speculation, and all the debate, there was a real life, a real story that ended suddenly, and that alone deserves respect. Whether you believe Ali Carter's claims or not, one thing is certain. This conversation has opened the door to bigger questions. Questions about power, influence, and how stories are shaped in the public eye. So now it really comes down to you. What do you think? Do you believe there's more to this story that hasn't been revealed yet? Or do you think this is another example of how quickly rumors can grow into something much bigger than the truth? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below, because your perspective matters more than you think. And if you found this breakdown interesting, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Because if this story has taught us anything, it's that sometimes the biggest revelations come when you least expect them. And this might just be one of those stories that isn't finished yet.